I am going to seriously revolutionize your job as a homemaker today. So if you're a woman, your wife, your mom, whatever, you have a house, this is going to change your life. I promise you. And it's 3 words. Hey friends, I'm Heidi with Heavenly Minded Home, and I became a wife and a mom at 17 years old. We moved into our first home on my 18th birthday, and I was not prepared for adult life whatsoever. Now, 20 years later, my husband's a pastor, we have 4 kids, we have a farm, all of the things, right? Keeping up on your house can feel like an endless, just never winning possibility. Just, people say, what is it, like brushing your teeth while eating Oreos? I get it, okay? I used to work full time out of the house. We've owned our own businesses. We're in ministry full time, right? You put on all the things of life and you're like, I just want it to be kept together. I just want to not feel like I'm drowning each and every day. Can you relate? Because I know I can. We homeschool, we work from home, we have a farm, like all of the things. There's a lot of people in our house, a lot of animals. We're always here. It gets so messy and you feel like you're drowning, and it starts to make you not a very nice person. Well, at least if you're me, that's what happens. So that's what used to happen until I figured out these 3 words, and then they changed everything. So the 3 words that totally can just change your life today: back to ready. Hear me out, because I understand that this can sound silly, but it was this little hack, this simple little thing that I'm sure you've heard a million people talk about in all of these types of videos and Pinterest posts and things like that. But I'm telling you, this is the single key hack that can make our home or break our home. Back to ready. It's taking just a couple minutes before you leave any space and go on to the next one and get it back to ready. I'm going to give you some examples. This is something that when our family is diligent to do, which I will say we've been doing this for a few years, it has become ingrained in pretty much all of us, it makes life so much easier. Right? It makes chores so much easier, work so much easier, homeschool so much easier. Just my sanity, ADHD mom here, things get out of control and I start to really struggle, okay? This makes a big difference. When we get off track, I will be completely honest with you, the past month, I had surgery last month. Our family came down with the flu. Our house cleaner that we asked to come help us out a little bit, she got crazy sick. Everything went sideways. It was a bit of a disaster. We lost our back to ready, and it has been like climbing out of a pit ever since. This is why I'm sharing it with you, because it is such an important thing. It is such a valuable tool that if you start building this habit, you are going to see a difference. You are going to see that get so much better. So let me share with you just a few practical ways that you can start implementing this today and start seeing that result right away. Friends, real quick, I get that me saying back to ready, it's so simple. You just have to put the thing. I get that can be overwhelming when you're like, cool story if you're starting with a clean house. What about those of us who have way too much stuff? We're super overwhelmed. We don't know where to start. I get it. And we have resources to help you. I can share them down below. I have my free ebook, The Minimalist Home, on the simple steps that I took and I continue to take on a regular basis to keep my home cleared of just the clutter and excess. I've got a whole course put together with videos, materials, printables, you name it, with my approach, just a simplified approach to the Fly Lady system to help in keeping the house clean and tidy as we go on. And so there's resources for that. And something that is so helpful in this whole back to ready process. Again, start small, baby steps, keep at it, but having a place for everything and everything in its place, right? I'm sure you've heard someone say that before, but it really does make a difference to have some home for the things that we do have in our home. So for me, I've been struggling because our laundry room is constantly a disaster. No matter what I do, I don't know, something wasn't working. And so part of it that I figured out was I didn't have a proper home for so many items in there. We live in an old funky house and it just, I don't know, we just didn't have the right setup. And so getting a cabinet that I could use to put in the space to hold the things that I needed there appropriately, right? To have a space that I could organize. It's not about, you know, having all of the stuff that's perfect, but having something that I could keep it all perfectly together. And I want to thank so much our friends over at Her Nest. We got our sideboard from them. We've got this cabinet that we just put in the laundry room for them. We've got some stuff for our office. And I love it because it's affordable furniture. It serves the purpose that we're looking for, and it's great quality. For us, we got this sideboard, and being able to keep my dishes and things in there together and to have a nice piece of furniture, it just was so wonderful because it's a good piece, it serves its purpose, and it's really pretty. So it's like a super win. And so when I had this problem in the laundry room with just, again, things always becoming messy and driving me crazy, right? Because that happens. I needed to have a place for everything. So I got this beautiful cabinet. It was super simple to put together. All of them, right? It takes a little bit of time, but the instructions, you just kind of follow it through. The kids say it's kind of like putting together a Lego set. And now I have that in there next to my washer. I figured it out so that way everything that I use has a home. Now it makes it so much simpler to keep my space back to ready, because there's a spot for everything to go. I only keep the items that I need. They all have a place to go to stay easily organized, so that way I can get to the things that I need to get to. I can store the things that I need to store, and my space can stay back to ready every single time that I use it, which mama for kids is every single day. I need a space that can be easily put back together, right? And so if you guys would like to check out Her Nest, again, they're an amazing company. They have wonderful stuff, and you can use my special code down below for 20% off of anything you find on there, which is a super amazing deal. So I have that all linked down below. Thank you to Her Nest for sending over this amazing cabinet. And again, in our office, we've got one in the laundry room. I've got the sideboard here. Keeping my stuff organized, simplified makes such a difference, and that's gonna help you keep your space back to ready. Now, I say how much I love this because you don't need to make this complicated, okay? If you're drowning in housework and trying to keep your house clean and get your chores done and do all those types of things, everything that I do with a simplified approach to the Fly Lady system, again, if that can be a blessing for you, I will link it down below. But there's still that like day in and day out, just jobs that need to be done. And when we get a space back to ready, that's our maintenance, right? There's nothing worse than putting a ton of work into something and then it just all gets undone, right? We want to be able to maintain that and maintain it easily. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be anything, super detailed or whatever. Back to ready. So that means before I leave one space, I get it back to ready. And then I move on. Just like when my kids were little and I used to try to implement with this with them and say, hey, let's pick up our toys before we get more toys out. So before you play with Barbies, let's put the Legos away. It's the same thing even for us. And so if you start doing this, you start disciplining yourself, you can start implementing it in your home. Before you know it, it's just gonna become habit. But mamas, it's our job to lead the charge. Simple things like this in the living room. It's winter time, we're cold, we got blankets out on the couches. Before I leave, I take my blanket, I fold it up, I fix the pillows, I get it back to ready. That means that I'm leaving it how I would like to have it set up. When I cook breakfast in the morning, before leaving the kitchen and being done, we load up the dishes, we wipe down the counters, we put everything away. When we're done eating at the table, right? We get everything cleared off and the table wiped down. It's simply just going through your day and before you leave, right? So often we go and we use a space to get whatever it is that we're trying to get, right? I go into the kitchen because I need to cook something. And then after we sit down and eat, we're like, I don't want to get back in there. I usually don't even sit down and eat until we finish cleaning up, And then as soon as we're done eating, it is the family's job to go in, load up the dishes, wipe everything down, get your space back to ready. We do this with our homeschool, right? Before we move on to a different activity or a different, something that we want to go do, we make sure that we've tidied up the spot that we were using first. Back to ready doesn't mean that you're deep cleaning and super organizing or minimizing. Again, if that's something you'd like to know more about and get some tips and tricks for, comment down below, let me know. I'll be happy to share. But it's just simply resetting the stage before you move on. I don't leave my bedroom in the morning until I've gotten dressed and made my bed, you know? I just kind of check those things off right away. It only takes me a couple minutes. And then when I go in the evening, bed's made. You know, I'm starting at that level playing field instead of these little things that start adding up, back to ready. So if you are like me and you would like to start making keeping up your home not just chaotic and frustrating and overwhelming, start implementing these 3 simple words. Get your spaces back to ready before moving on. Start in one area of your home and work around. Start making this a habit that you're staying disciplined on. Start implementing it with your kids, but lead that way in it. And then before you know it, keeping up and having a just generally tidy house is going to be so much simpler, so much easier, and kind of just a natural part of your day. You don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to stress it. Having solid solutions for what you have, minimizing, having a good cleaning routine. Again, those are all things that I love talking about, sharing about how we do them. And if it can be a blessing for you, then praise God, that's amazing. Having those amazing habits from Her Nest has been so helpful because now everything in there has a place to go. That's a huge help. Minimizing, like how I share in my free ebook, Minimalist Home. That is a huge help because I don't have so much stuff that I'm contending with. Having a simple cleaning routine like my minimalist approach to the Fly Lady system is life-changing because again, it's just creating these habits for smooth sailing. And then getting everything back to ready in the day in and day out allows all of those systems to continue to flourish and thrive in our home. And so hopefully that can be a blessing for you all here today. Again, thank you to Her Nest. We appreciate them so much. We've got some great furniture from them. And again, for me, it's having practical solutions. And if it can be pretty, that's always a super win as well. So if you guys want to check them out, down in the link below. If you are looking for some practical solutions with some pretty furniture, it can be a help for you. Hope you guys can be sure to go down there and get that special savings. Otherwise, let me leave you with a video that I think you're going to appreciate as we start implementing this whole back to ready thing and start pulling our homes back together so that we can get focused on the stuff that really matters in life. Bye, friends.